being able to actually sit back and evaluate what is really driving customer behavior and then really doubling down and continuing to evolve and iterate on that has been one of the things that I think has been I would say, secret sauce in a lot of cases.
Welcome to Honest Ecommerce, a podcast dedicated to cutting through the BS and finding actionable advice for online store owners. I'm your host, Chase Clymer, and I believe running a direct-to-consumer brand does not have to be complicated or a guessing game. On this podcast, we interview founders and experts who are putting in the work and creating real results. I also share my own insights from running our top Shopify consultancy, Electric Eye. We cut the fluff in favor of facts to help you grow your e-commerce business. Let's get on with the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Honest Ecommerce. Today, I'm welcoming the show CEO and co-founder of Tentree, Derrick Emsley. Derrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to chat. I do quickly want to shout out the Surf Expo down in Orlando, where I met a team member of yours, not you, but I always like to say that go to trade shows, go to conferences, networking is power, and you'll meet a lot of cool people. For those that are unaware, what are the types of products you're bringing to market over at Tentree?
Yeah, so we're at Tentree, we're effectively an outdoor lifestyle apparel business. So we make, products that are designed for, the outdoor space, but generally tending towards the more lifestyle angle of it. And we make the most sustainable product we can, everything from t-shirts to tops, bottoms, fleece, wovens, button-ups, jackets, everything like that. It's the most sustainable product we can make. And then we plant 10 trees for every product we sell.
Oh, wow. That's exactly where the name came from, huh?
Yeah, we're not very creative when it comes to names.
Now, take me back in time. Where did the idea for this business come from?
Yeah, so my background, when I was 15 years old, my brother and I started our first company, and it was a tree planting company. So I grew up in the prairies here up in Canada, and, where it was around the early days of like Kyoto Protocol and a lot of, sort of sustainable conversations that were happening. And what we saw was that in Saskatchewan in particular, it's a really resource-driven economy. And so we started to see a lot of concerns and fear about what this could mean. And so we came up with the idea of saying, well, what can we do to help solve some of this? And so what takes carbon out of the air? Trees. And what do we have a lot of is land. And so we came up with the idea of building a company that would plant trees and support businesses in achieving their sort of climate initiatives through that. And so we ran that from the time I was sort of in middle of high school till towards the end of my university tenure. But ultimately, it wasn't a viable business at the time. And so really, we sat down, we said, how can we continue to fund reforestation? I think that's what we fell in love with, was tree planting. Saw the impact it had on, frankly, like the environment. But really, we also saw how excited people got about this idea of planting trees. And so we said, how can we continue to fund it, but actually do it more sustainably? And so we came up with the idea of building a consumer brand. And so we said, how can we connect, people, because we saw how excited they got about tree planting, with their ability to have an impact. And frankly, apparel just ended up being the vehicle. And it wasn't the, in hindsight, we've said it internally, we're like, there's a lot easier ways to plant trees than building an apparel business. But it's really been an incredible vehicle for us to connect people with their ability to have an impact and, build some amazing product along the way.
And what year was it that, let's just say that the first couple products went live?
So that would have been 2012. So late 2011, we kind of had screen printed a couple logos on some American Apparel t-shirts, and we're kind of wearing them around Regina. But really 2012 was when we started selling our product.
And how did you kind of reach your first customers that weren't your friends and family?
Well, it's funny. We launched a website, and this is the early days of e-commerce. Like the ability to launch and Facebook ads and things like that didn't exist. And so for us, we launched our website and we were super excited about it. And I remember we did like $1,000 in sales our first day. And then the second day we did 500. And then the next day we did nothing. And we sort of realized, I think our friends and family had all bought everything that they were going to. So now we need to find other customers. And so what we actually started to do was we went around to all the network that we had in sort of the prairies in Western Canada to find, different retailers, different stores that were willing to give us a shot, try and carry some product. And we started partnering with them. That brought a little bit of a halo effect that we started seeing a little more traction online. And then we also started to partner with a ton of different influencers all across like different social media platforms, particularly with Instagram. And were groups that sort of were connected to customers that we felt were in some way mission aligned. Given this was before even Instagram ads were a thing, it was a different way to kind of hack customer awareness and customer engagement. And we started doing that. And then collectively, these things started to build and build and build.
Now, the first version of the website, 2012, was Shopify around then?
Shopify had just started. I shouldn't say it just started. Shopify was around, but it wasn't what it is today.
Yeah.
Our first website was Magento. And as Magento it was a much heavier lift back then to run a website than it is today with, Shopify and even like Magento and some of these other e-commerce platforms.
As you were building the business, you're still planting 10 trees at a time?
We are, yeah.
Now, we talked about this a little bit beforehand. How cumbersome was auditing, making sure that you were fulfilling that promise internally?
We started Tentree to plant trees. At its core, we've always said we're not an apparel company that plants trees. We're a tree planting company that happens to sell apparel. And so over the first, call it decade of us building this brand, we actually invested, well over $10 million in reforestation. And what we tended to find was that, we would travel to these sites. We were doing auditing procedures that we knew coming from the tree planting world. But it was becoming increasingly difficult to manage a sort of global portfolio of reforestation, manage different partners, different locations, different types of trees. And so we started to actually recognize that we needed to build something internally that would allow us to audit it more effectively, collect data from the ground, manage data provenance and verification, and then ongoing monitoring. So back in probably 6 or 7 years ago now, we started to build different sort of pilot test products to help us do that. That help merge geospatial data with ground data that we would collect and things like that. And that product, through many iterations, eventually came what we called internally Veritree, which was a full sort of ERP suite of technology to help manage reforestation. Take a tree from the moment it was planted and all the data and evidence associated with it and inventory that tree so that we could attribute that tree to a customer or anything like that. And so that tool actually, as of about 2022, we spun out as a separate business because it, with the reforestation work scaling the way it was, we really recognized that we needed some independence with the auditing and the support that we were providing these projects globally. And so today, that's actually a separate business that we've rolled out from Tentree called Veritree.
Now, was it obviously building the tool to fulfill your own needs? Like that makes complete sense. Was it obvious to spin it out, or did you have people asking for it before that even clicked internally that like, oh, maybe there's this product in and of itself here?
It was people asking for it that pushed it. We never intended to really build this as a standalone product. And frankly, it took a lot of work to get it to the point where it could be a standalone product. But I think there was two things that were kind of happening at the same time. One was that there was this need for independence, and we were building a tool that really a lot of the supply side of our planting partnerships, so the groups that are planting the trees, needed to use in a more meaningful way. And so for them to use a tool that was, frankly, being built by one of their funders, there's a little bit of an issue around the independence of that. And then on the flip side, Veritree was also there to call out when things weren't happening appropriately. And so really, we just felt like overall there was a need for independence. And then so at the same time, what we were starting to see was other organizations were, investing in tree planting or sustainability initiatives. And a lot of them needed to ensure that it was actually happening. And this was the big problem with tree planting was a lot of people were saying they were planting trees, but we funded over $10 million, and we were lucky if we'd gotten more than a Google Drive album with some photos that was probably shared with other groups, maybe a certificate. And it just frankly wasn't good enough. And there were other companies that were funding reforestation in a meaningful way too. And so they started approaching us. And so it was kind of like a bunch of things that sort of came together at a similar time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if all I got out of that was a couple pictures, I personally, I'd be like, did they pocket this money or not? Let's make sure that this actually happened.
Yeah. And I don't think it's.
I don't saying that your partners were bad actors or anything. It's just like my mind would naturally wander.
Well, exactly. Like I think the thing is that there's a lot of really incredibly good intentions in this space. The challenge is that what we're seeing and as more and more awareness is sort of being more and more awareness and focus is being placed on companies actually participating or playing some role in climate initiatives and reduce net zero commitments and things like that. There's more awareness coming to that, which also means there's more scrutiny, and that's a good thing for the quality of the work that's happening. Unfortunately, a lot of the organizations that are doing a lot of that work don't necessarily have the expertise to deliver on that. So really the idea was to build the product that kind of in the Venn diagram of, people that want to fund reforestation and where there's great projects to be funded, we can help bring those together, but create the infrastructure layer behind it to make sure that the impact is actually happening and that the organizations that are funding it can truly see it, verify it, audit it, and hopefully long term that drives more and more funding into the space.
Absolutely. Now, with Veritree, I promise this is the last question about Veritree before I pivot back to Tentree. It's so interesting to me. Are people that are using that technology also on maybe that direct consumer side of the world, maybe even like direct competitors?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a ton of different e-commerce organizations that are using our platform, and actually we partner with some really incredible groups that have built apps and things like that to offer e-commerce and D2C type businesses with the ability to embed reforestation or verified impact into their customer journey. I think when I look back at what we kind of uncovered and what we started to learn at Tentree was that we were using tree planting. We existed to plant trees, but our success and growth as a brand was a function of our ability to solve some of the kind of equations that every D2C founder faces more efficiently through that reforestation work. So if I think about it, I'm like every D2C business exists because they can in some way solve that sort of customer acquisition, CAC to LTV equation. Their lifetime value is greater than the cost to acquire. And so, underneath that, there's a ton of inputs, but really like what we saw was that through embedding tree planting, we were able to create more compelling advertisements where we could bring down our customer acquisition costs. We could, through our loyalty program and our emailed programs where we were talking about the tree planting, we could increase our LTV significantly. And then in addition to all that, like we were able to find ways to embed tree planting at different touch points within our customer journey on the website where we actually saw conversion rates tick up. We saw our average order values we could incentivize things differently. And so really for us, if you take the altruistic side of things out of it and say like, really what's in it for the businesses to plant trees, we've actually solved and have so many examples of where planting trees is actually good for the business too. So we actually do have a ton of D2C businesses that we're partnered with and a ton of applications that support those D2C businesses where we're that infrastructure layer behind it.
I have been in business for nearly 20 years, and very few companies I have hired in that time have performed as well as Electric Eye. They have knowledgeable staff, and our project was delivered on time and on budget. Electric Eye has exceeded my expectations, and I look forward to working with them again. That is a direct quote from one of our clients at Electric Eye. Electric Eye is a Shopify Plus partner that has helped over 100 brands migrate, redesign, and optimize their stores since 2016. If you'd like to increase your conversion rate, average order value, and revenue per session, we are the true Shopify experts you've been looking for. Right now, we're offering a free diagnostic to qualified brands that reach out and mention the podcast. Visit electriceye.io today to schedule a call and send us a message. Find out why we have over 50 5-star reviews in the Shopify partner directory. Again, that's electriceye.io, electriceye.io. What if every customer could help grow your brand without you lifting a finger? Social Snowball is the platform that turns word of mouth into a real growth engine for Shopify and TikTok shops. Here's how it works. Every time someone buys from you, Social Snowball can automatically turn that customer into an affiliate, giving them a unique referral link or discount code instantly. They can share it wherever they're already posting. Instagram stories, TikTok videos, YouTube hauls, you name it. You'll be able to track every referral and influencer sale, send commission payouts in 2 clicks, block codes from leaking to coupon sites, automate influencer seeding and gifting, and let affiliates cash out using over 700 payout options. Plus, it works seamlessly with your existing tech stack and channels like Shopify, Klaviyo, PostScript, and your TikTok shop dashboard. The craziest part is they're basically giving away free money. You can launch your affiliate program for free, which shouldn't take longer than a day if you focus, and enjoy a 30-day trial before ever paying for the app. That's right, you can use this software to turn your customers into affiliates for 30 days for free. To take advantage of this offer, go to socialsnowball.io/honest. That's socialsnowball.io/honest. Again, that's socialsnowball.io/honest. Would $1,000 help your business? Portless is giving new customers $1,000 to reinvest back into their business just for getting started. Right now, you are probably paying tariffs on most items in your warehouse before you even make a sale. That means your cash is just sitting there, trapped in inventory that might not even get sold. Not exactly a recipe for growth, right? But what if we told you there's a smarter way? With Portless, you only pay tariffs when an order ships after you've been paid by your customers. That means free up more working capital instantly, turn inventory into cash faster, and completely eliminate the risk of paying tariffs on unsold stock. Here's how it works. Portless helps you ship directly from China to your customers' doorsteps in just 5 to 8 days. Yes, that's exactly what Shein and Temu do, and you can do it too. You get access to your inventory days after manufacturing, keep less stock on hand, and only pay duties on what actually sells. No more guessing games, no more cash flow nightmares, just smarter, faster scaling. And remember, all new Portless customers get $1,000 to reinvest back into their business. Schedule your free strategy call today. Visit portless.com/honest. That's portless.com/honest. One more time, that's portless.com/honest. Shopify makes it easy to sell online, but unlocking streamlined global sales demands more. Don't let high cross-border fees, frustrating payment failures, and complex tax requirements hold back your store's international growth. Activate Reach instead. As a merchant of record, Reach helps high-growth brands like yours optimize global sales with local processing and automated tax compliance, all while protecting your store from fraud. Reach is already integrated with Shopify, so you can activate Reach with no extra dev work and start seeing results fast. Brands like Revolve and Everlane trust Reach to boost international approval rates to over 90% and cut cross-border costs by up to 40%. Expanding globally is just the first step. Optimizing performance is where the growth happens. Book a free, no-obligation consultation today and learn how you can level up your global sales at withreach.com/honest. That's withreach.com/honest. withreach.com/honest. Let's be real. Sales tax is a nightmare. You didn't start an e-commerce brand to stay up late Googling tax laws or stressing over whether you filed in the right state. If you're still trying to DIY your sales tax, or worse, using a tool that leaves most of the work on your plate, you need to check out Zamp. Zamp is a fully managed sales tax solution built specifically for e-commerce brands. That means actual experts handle everything: registration, filings, remittances, all of it. Brands like Tushy, Glamnetic, and David are already using Zamp to get sales tax off their plate. Some Zamp customers spend as little as 2 minutes a month thinking about tax. Imagine that. No confusing pricing tiers, no surprise fees, just one flat rate to make the entire mess disappear. And yes, it works seamlessly with Shopify, Amazon, BigCommerce, QuickBooks, and more. So, if you're tired of sales tax headaches and want to stop risking penalties or audits, go to zamp.com/honest and get 3 months free. That's zamp.com/honest. Zamp.com/honest. There is something to be said about adding a sustainability element to the business to help with that messaging and that marketing, but it doesn't circumvent the fact that you still need a good product at the end of the day. And your product line has evolved a lot further than just screen printing a logo on American Apparel tee.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through the evolution of how the products evolved and I mean, you guys are making some really high quality stuff over there.
Really when you think about our founding team, we had a lot of experience in tree planting, in marketing, in sort of general business finance. The thing that none of us had any experience in was product and apparel. And so really that was the side that we were learning as we went. We started with American Apparel t-shirts, put some logos on them. Then we started hiring people that could help us really expand what we were doing. And we also got to the point where it just it didn't make sense any longer to be buying American Apparel t-shirts, screen printing and trying to, frankly, at early days, really import that product into Canada, because we also realized that early on, we thought American Apparel was NAFTA certified because it was made in America. But what we learned was that NAFTA had to be actually a certain percentage of the overall cut, make, sew, and fabric and material in America. And most made in America product is actually using fabric that's coming from China or Pakistan or something like that. So we were paying made in America costs, bringing it into Canada and having to pay duties like it was made internationally. And so we started to recognize that, hey, we need to build a global supply chain that allows us to source really great high quality products, also make our own products. From there, we started to realize, okay, we also, in addition to that, need to start to think about what is in the product. Because, again, we didn't know anything about apparel. We didn't know there was such thing as organic cotton or recycled polyester. And then, so we've kind of gone, as we've evolved over time, we've gone levels deeper with what it actually takes to make apparel and source sustainably. Because at the end of the day, if we're trying to build a business that connects people to trees, but the vehicle being product is bad for the environment, then we're kind of going against our why we exist. And so it's really been an evolution. And so we've been fortunate. We've hired a lot of people that know a lot more about this than we do. But we've really stumbled our way through these kind of learnings of, okay, how do you make product? How do you source it? How do you make it sustainably? And then also you get to different commodities like jackets and fleece, which is a knit, versus the button-ups we make now that are wovens, and how those things kind of are different. And so it's really just been an evolution, of bringing on people that are smarter than us, helping us take that next step, and really continuing to, put one foot in front of the other.
It's coming up quite often during these interviews this past month of just hiring for your weaknesses.
You have to. I think we were very fortunate that we at Tentree had a founding team that shared that frankly, the skill sets, there wasn't too much duplication. Mm-hmm. My brother, Kalen, was an incredible marketer. Dave, one of our co-founders, was an amazing salesperson. Steven, who led our e-commerce in the early days, was able to build that and think through performance marketing. And then I really had more of an operational and financial skill set. And so really the piece though that none of us had was actually, building the product. And so we've definitely had to find incredible people to come on board to help us with that.
Now, the name of the show is Honest Ecommerce. Looking back over the last 10, 15 years of building this amazing business, any mistakes come to mind, or just things you want to let the audience know about? Maybe don't do this. We did it for you and we learned from it. And here's what we learned.
I mean, so many mistakes. I would say one of the biggest ones that we made was getting over our skis with the breadth of our collection. We, if I look back in the days, you said it, but like we were t-shirts, fleece, things like that. And we've obviously expanded and become a much more mature product organization. But there's a way to do that the right way and a way to do it wrong. And for us, I think what we often did was we tried to do too many things at once. We wanted to add, underwear at the same time as outerwear, at the same time as activewear. And inherently you think, well, okay, this is like, we just have a customer coming to our website to buy the Tentree brand. And now we're just giving them more things to buy. But what we found was with all that breadth, there was, decision fatigue, and also we couldn't actually, none of the individual initiatives could have had the success that they might have been able to have if we could have really focused on driving that and, doing one and then the next and then the next. And so that's definitely been a big learning for us is what's the right breadth of product assortment, because to me, like the long tail of product and what that does to your organization is where companies go to die. And I think the other thing that we've had to learn was we are an omni-channel business. So we do wholesale and e-commerce. In some ways that's been a secret sauce to us. When e-commerce exploded at the beginning of COVID and retail was shut down, we were in a really good spot. Then as retail recovered and e-commerce continued to hum, we were able to accelerate a lot faster. But also how you build product to support two channels and differing needs is something that we've really had to learn and screw up a few times along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that something I often tell even our clients and oftentimes during discovery calls is like, hey, if everything's important, nothing actually is important. And really focusing on things, seeing them through, and then moving on leads to more stuff actually getting done. And I think that it's beyond just, your assortment of products and launching a bunch of things. It's, adding features to the website. It's, your marketing initiatives, like you spoke about earlier. It's definitely the things that get worked on, get improved. And if you scatter yourself too thin, nothing's actually moving forward.
Absolutely. And it hits at every point. You don't realize, but it takes a lot of upstream resources to build the product, but then you have to shoot the product. You have to build ads for it. You have to market it. You only have so many marketing dollars. Those dollars tend to go towards what's working most. So it can end up being, self-fulfilling that you build products and they fail because you don't give them the opportunity. And just like, a lack of focus is really for us, one of our biggest learnings, because oftentimes founders too have a bit of shiny object. We think everything's a good idea.
I am guilty of that. And that's why I have a business partner that puts me in my place.
That's right.
Awesome. So is there anything I didn't ask you about today that you think would resonate with our audience?
I mean, we talked a lot about sort of I think that one of the most interesting things about our journey has been how we have learned to leverage our impact side of things to actually be a competitive advantage. And we're in a world now where it's just becoming increasingly, frankly, noisy and competitive. And everything's very quickly becoming productized and then commoditized. And so for us, I think what's been an amazing journey and that we've learned is that, the need to actually ensure that if you're doing something, and this goes back to focus as well, you're really all in and you're making it a productive thing for your business. We've kind of looked at our entire customer base and said, what actually is driving them to be a supporter of Tentree? Is it the tree planting? Is it the brand narratives? Is it the, outdoor side of our business? Is it the products? And then is it the sustainability? And, being able to actually sit back and evaluate what is really driving customer behavior and then really doubling down and continuing to evolve and iterate on that has been one of the things that I think has been I would say, secret sauce in a lot of cases, which has allowed us to really stay ahead of the curve in a lot of ways on the sustainability and really like the impact messaging that has helped us be successful.
That's amazing. Now, if I'm out there listening to this podcast and I'm curious to see these awesome products that we've been talking about, or I just want to pitch in to help plant 10 more trees, where should I go? What should I do?
Well, if you want to check out the gear, support us, plant some trees through that, you can find it at tentree.com. So tentree.com. Like I said, we're not super creative when it comes to naming. And on the flip side, if you have a business that is looking to embed some sustainability, or whether it's carbon neutrality, whether it's really engaging your customers in a meaningful way, check us out at Veritree.com. Again, we're not very creative. It's verifying and tree just smashed together, but it's Veritree.com. And we're always looking for new ways to partner with organizations to help them do good.
Awesome. Derrick, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks, Chase.
We can't thank our guests enough for coming on the show and sharing their knowledge and journey with us. We've got a lot to think about and potentially add into our own businesses. You can find all the links in the show notes. You can subscribe to the newsletter at honestecommerce.co to get each episode delivered right into your inbox. If you're enjoying this content, consider leaving a review on iTunes. That really helps us out. Lastly, if you're a store owner looking for an amazing partner to help you get your Shopify store to the next level, reach out to Electric Eye at electriceye.io/connect. Until next time.